Welcome to another Trackalerts Live. And tonight, of course, we will be looking back at the Jamaica Championships, or some may call it the Jamaica Trials, you know, where Jamaican athletes, seek to represent their country in Tokyo, Japan in September at the World Athletics Championships. What a weekend it was. Some good times, some bad times. Some people left happy, some people left disappointed. What was the highlight for you? Let us talk about it. The highlight for me is on your screen right there. That was my race of the meet, or the race of the championships. Megan Topper tapping in with a personal best 12.34 seconds. Tell me, drop your comment in the comment section below and tell me if Megan Topper's performance was your performance of the meet. Second for me was Tina Clayton, who ran a personal best on the second day. She ran a personal best on your screen there, 10.81 seconds for Tina Clayton. Unfortunately, her twin sister, Tia Clayton, was not able to finish the race and had to be taken off the track on a stretcher. And as I said, that's unfortunate. And of course, the 100-meter men lived up to expectation. And just like the women, the 100-meter men also lived up to expectation. Your winner, Kishane Thompson, in 9.75. Oblique Seville, after many was left wondering, nervous, when it looks as if he wasn't going to run. Maybe suffered a little cramp when he tried to stride out, trying to, when he, made sure his blocks was right and he was trying to stride out. He felt something. And of course, his team of physiotherapists came quickly and helped him to get to a position where he was able to run. And, that he did. He ran and finished in a time of 9.83 seconds. So credit must be given to Oblique Seville. Many questions though as to if the starters did the right thing, or if the starters was fair enough to allow Seville, or to wait on Seville. Many question that. We were now trying to be joined by, I guess we're not yet joined by Terry Finisterre so we're waiting to join him. I think he's having a little bit of challenge in connecting with us. Maybe he's hearing us, but I'm not hearing him. So Terry, I don't know if you are hearing, but I'm not hearing you. I'm not getting any audio, and I'm not seeing your photo or your picture on. So what was your highlight? What was the highlight for you? Courtney is saying Topper was on fire, and on fire indeed. Mindset Media, thank you for your comments. Sorry, Tia, pulled up because she would beat Shelley. Many believe that would have been the case. Many believe that would have been the case. And Veronica Will is checking in. Welcome, one and all. Welcome, everyone, to our wrap or our review show of the Jamaican Trials. He could have gotten a medical exemption anyway. Not sure if that would have been the case because to get a medical exemption, you'll have to be ranked in the top three in the world. And the top three in the world and points, not necessarily if you are the fastest, but the top three in the world and points. And he is not among the top three. Continue, send your comments, tell us what do you think, what was your highlight, list your disappointments. For me, disappointment number one continues to be that men's 400, and that continues to be disappointment number one for me, because unfortunately it was good to see Rasheen McDonald winning his first national title. He ran 44.89. Some people believe he eased down, tried to make a statement with his finger over his lip, finger over lips, saying, talk now. And he said it in an interview that, it was that the reason. Let us let us join Terry now. Terry, welcome.
Good evening, brother. Good evening, viewers. How you doing?
Big up yourself. Big up yourself. I was talking about a little bit about the Jamaica Trials, and I was pointing out that the women's 100-meter hurdle race winner Megan Tupper was my top performer
Mhm.
of the meet, and that the winner of the women's 100, Tina Clayton, was second for me. The men's 110-meter hurdles with Orlando Bennett, I haven't gotten to that yet, would have been my third best performance. We expected Kishian to show up, and that he did.
So,
And, but that was where I was at. And what was your highlight, Terry? And at the same time, I asked you your highlight and you're jumping. We're going to welcome Coach Van. What was welcome, Coach Van.
very good.
Yes. So Terry, tell us.
Well, I dare say, I understand I understand your kind of downplay of teaching, but you know, like you say, you expected something big of teaching, but I think that performance was a really telling performance for you to go out and drop a 9.75 in trials, and in the manner you did it as well. Tapper, I think, would probably be a close second for me, really announcing herself. But for Cliche to go out there and really put the hammer on a field of that kind of class,
Mm-hmm.
and these young men have really been showing out throughout the course of trials, and they you heard tales of the demise of Jamaican men's sprinting. And we're certainly seeing that Jamaican men's sprinting is very much alive. These
Mm-hmm.
guys turned in some really superb performances over the weekend. And we saw the entire range of drama. We saw the entire, the gamut of emotion, of courage. You know, there was even a little bit of humor with Kishin talking about dipping.
Mm-hmm.
you know, so it was really. And I'm not a big men's sprints guy, but for me, this weekend, what we saw in the men's sprint was really the highlight as an event as a whole. I think that really was the highlight for me. Tapper, as an individual performer, I think was probably one of the strongest performers that we had over the weekend. And then you look at what happened in the women's sprint, changing of the guard. Obviously, Sherika came through, and Shedian came through. But there's been this talk for probably about 3-4 years now. And we saw that tremendous Jamaica team setting the world 4x1 record, the record that never was, unfortunately. But these young ladies have been really putting their hand up over the last 3 or 4 years, and we've been seeing them coming in waves and waves and waves. We've seen the Alana Reid, we've seen obviously the twins, we've seen Brianna Williams, we've seen them coming. And yet, Sherika, Kelly, the old guard, still up there doing their thing. So yeah, the Claytons are there and thereabouts, and their time will definitely be there. They'll be on show. Well, certainly the Tina will be on show after the World Championships in Tokyo. I'm assuming that Tia will be part of the relay pool as well. But the old guard for the ladies still showing that they have something, especially after the disappointment of Paris 2024.
Mm-hmm. And just before I bring in Coach Vaughn, let me jump into some of these comments because our viewers are want to be a part of the discussion, and that's why we are here to get our viewers part of, as part of the discussion so we can discuss. So Veronica is saying he could have gotten a medical exemption. That no, I don't think
You're talking
so.
about
And
Seville.
that and yeah, she
Yeah,
talking about Seville, and
yeah.
I had explained that earlier because he wasn't ranked in the top three in the world. Just to continue with some of the comment, August is saying, yeah, the men's 400, they got 2 months to get it right, and he's saying they got 2 months to get it right. In my opinion, if you are going to be a force to be reckoned with at a world championships, and you are thinking that hey, and you can't run the qualifying standard, which is 44, I think 44.85 or 40 something there, 44.85. And if you can't run it by this time, you had almost one entire year from last year, from August 1 last year. And we have to understand that we have not, Jamaica in this case, haven't had many people running 44 consistently, and that is one of our problem. You might find one person run it this year and they don't run it for another 2 years. Another person come and run it next year. And if we are thinking about seriousness of this men's 400, we going to have people we're going to have people that is running 44 fives, sub 44 fives consistently. So saying that they got 2 months to get it, I don't like that idea because it means that if you're going to wait for another 2 months just to get it, you may don't even get into the semifinal at the World Championships, and that is just my opinion. But just to continue, Courtney is saying most of the winners hasn't gotten the qualifying time as yet, so work continues, and that I agree with Courtney. Work continues. Gene, my good friend Gene, is saying, "Why are you disappointed with McDonald? Big boy is big boy." And disappointed, yes, because I'm happy that he won. He has been around for a very, very long time, and none of these current 400-meter runners, was around when McDonald started. And for McDonald to be coming now, still making team, and not only that, importantly, winning his first national 400-meter title, it means that no, I'm not taking anything away from McDonald because I'm happy for him, but it means that our 400-meter is really not where it's supposed to be. McDonald was being silly. He had the chance to qualify and he prepared to showboat. McDonald in an interview said it wasn't showboating. It was really, he felt something. And because he felt something, he did not want to push it. So yes, let us listen to what he had to. Well, we don't have it, but I've heard he said it on on many channels, many interviews he did. He said that he wasn't showboating. He felt something and he was trying not to push it because he didn't want to get hurt. Immature McDonald stupidity, blew his chance by running that standard because he wanted. Again, I just adjusted the points. So all in the game. I know you haven't seen it. I know you're a lover of the sports, and I know the sport. But McDonald said it wasn't showboating. but he felt something. Yeah, I agree. And the situation with Oblique, if what didn't happen, I think Kishane could have gone fast and level would have been in the mix. Many people believe, I've heard it, that maybe what happened at the start when the starters decided to wait on Seville, that may have affected level. We don't know. We don't know if that was the case because level came back and he won the 200 running 20.1. So it simply means that he wasn't hurt. Maybe he felt something. All in the game. Ashanti, Gabriel, McGregor need to go on the circuit ASAP to run 22.5 in the 200, which is a world championship qualifying standard. Chris Gale and Adrian Carr to run 20.16 standard, and all the 800 runners too. They are aware of that, and that, as I said before, was one of my biggest disappointment from the trials because you have so many winners, so many second place finishers that still not yet have the qualifying standard. And these events are events that Jamaica is known to do very well in. You know, all in the game is telling us about Broad Belt, that he's currently fourth place with 14 points, wins in the Diamond League. Jamaica take four hurdlers to the World Championship. If he doesn't win it and goes costs medical exemption, then Tyler Mason unfairly gets bumped. Well, that is how the J-Trades rule is. You go in, you know that if you finish third, there's a strong possibility you might not make the team, especially if someone has been granted a medical exemption. And Virginia is saying that they can't be consistent with no help. They had to work and train plus physical, ego, balanced body. And that is, we'll come back to some of the comments, but Coach Vaughn, your highs, and first of all, your highs from Trials 2025. Oh, we are not here. We are not hearing you, Coach. We're not hearing the Coach Vaughn. Audio up so we can hear you. Oh, Coach Vaughn still not coming through. So
Can you
let's
hear?
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Good. I forgot to press the button.
You have
All
so
right.
many things going on there, man.
Yes. Now here's the thing, right? Some good performances, like the young talent coming up, but the things that stand out to me on the heels of so many athletes going over to Turkey, we see some discrepancies in my eyes. You know, because I watch a sport from a very different angle. And some of the things that come out to me, you know, as a meet organizer myself in the past, that is, I saw what happened with Seville, and I heard what happened with Broadbell, and there's something about it that doesn't sit well with me because I'm concerned with the Seville situation. My concern was, why did they wait for Seville to get his legs rubbed, right? Who was it that rubbed his legs, right, to make him healthy for the race? I mean, I love the 983, don't get me wrong. But in all fairness, as you mentioned with Lavelle ran 10:43. Did that lapse in time affect Lavelle, who comes back in the 200, runs a qualifying time as well? Again, right? So did that really affect Lavelle? It's possible. Don't know. Like you said, we don't know if it really affected him, but it's plausible to say that because 2 days later he's in the 200, the next day he's in the 100. I mean the 200, then the 200 finals and runs well. With the Brabant situation, where I hear people talking about the medical exemption, I am left to question the validity of the medical exemption, and is it time for Jamaica to rethink that medical exemption? Because if we're pushing that Jamaica has all these sprinters, why are we leaving room for when someone who's at the top doesn't make it into the trials? I think it's time we get away from that, because with Broadbell, the medical exemption clearly states that you have to get this exemption before the meet starts. You can't get it while you're warming up for the final, and then you're possibly looking to displace the athlete who beat your time in the heats at the same trials meet. which is a qualifying mark as well. And he's also qualified. I mean, in the World Athletics ranking at number 22 right now, I think Tyler Mason. And when you take out all those American athletes in the middle, Tyler Mason is probably at number 12. So my question really is Jamaica really trying to make it where athletes can come up and be successful? Or are we too busy trying to create legacy? Because there was a question also for Shelly Ann Fraser, where should they just allow her to be on the team? Have we forgotten that 15, 16 years ago when she jumped in, there was controversy around her going to the meet. And we saw how she finished with the other two young ladies, 1, 2, 3. First time we ever did that. Right? And then something that a lot of people disagree with me on was I think it was 2016 with Bolt and Minzy. I get it. It's Usain. But at the same time, whatever happened to Minzy after he was taken out of that Olympic berth to run the individual event? We're talking about people's lives here. So that's why I'm concerned. That those are the things that stood out to me. I love the meet. I love the fact that Rashid McDonald ran at 44.89. Wish he had just ran through the line. I don't know if he was sick, right? The 4 guys in 100 meters, that spells well for Jamaica's 4x1. And the good thing is that they're able to train together now. We know who those 4 guys are for the
Train
finals.
together. You said
4x1.
train together?
Yeah, 4x1.
Wow.
Them have time for the 4x1 handoffs better now.
You think that go?
I don't know.
Happen?
I don't know,
Train
because
together.
certain
That's a big
coaches don't
statement.
like allow them athletes to be available.
So
right?
for example,
Yeah.
I heard Jamaica sending teams to the Barbados Grand Prix this weekend, and that will come up in the second half of our show. A preview, looking at it. We will be joined by the meet organizer and another person from Barbados, who will talk a little bit about that. But so that's this weekend. You're not going to see Seville. You're not going to see Kishiane, because Kishiane is going to be at the Prefontaine.
Right.
And who are you going to see on that men's 4x1 team? I don't know. But before we get into that, as I said, let me just jump back a little bit with some comments, because Berto Yardi is saying J3 has finally made a good decision. The early trials or early champs will help the athletes who need to make the standards. And also all in the game, consistent in participating. There's another interview he's saying where McDonald said he wanted to shut down or to shut the haters up. And maybe that's why he did what he did. I know Virginia was saying she can't hear you, but I'm sure she's hearing you now. August is saying, well, the fact that many didn't make the qualifying standard, would we then agree that champs was done too early? This is a good point. Let me ask Terry to jump in on that one. The fact that so many people didn't make the qualifying standard, Terry, you believe the trials was a little bit too early?
Well, it's an odd year. And you have the world champs way down in the year. And so people are setting up their season really very differently than they have in the past. The USA obviously had their trial down at the end of July. Jamaica has their trials here. A number of other countries have had their trials a little bit earlier than a bit further away from the actual world championships. So it really comes down to the individual athletes, I think. And I think there are a number of quality athletes. I mean, last week, I think before we would have spoken about Shelly Ann and how Shelly Ann knows how to manage her season. She's not somebody that comes out and runs a whole bag of meat. She knows where she needs to run for her to be able to be at her best come the time that she needs to be at her best. And I think for some athletes this year, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve in that regard, because this is not a situation that all of them will have been familiar with. So for a number of athletes, it's going to be something. And even if you had trials later, you still would face that problem of having athletes prolong their season coming into the trial. And then having to to be able to peak later than they normally would have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of six of one, half dozen of the other from an athletic preparation perspective. And I'm sure coach would agree because you're looking at getting athletes ready for X time every year. There's a certain rhythm,
Yeah.
and then you disrupt that rhythm because you have the world champions is so far down, and then different people are just going to approach it differently, and for some, they're just going to have to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a right time or wrong time to have them.
Because whenever we have the trials, it would normally be this time,
Yeah,
and this time of the year, whether World Championship is going to be in August or in July,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
every year we will find people still falling short of the qualifying mark, even up to trials, and they will have to find meets. A couple of years ago, Cash used to have this meet in the Bahamas, which used to be dubbed the last chance meet, and you'd find many Caribbean athletes and some Americans. Well, Americans don't normally going to find themselves in that situation because they have a larger pool of athletes to choose from. But you find where many of the Caribbean athletes would head over to that meet in the Bahamas to get that qualifying standard up to the last week. Coach Van, you spoke about some of your highs. Were there anything you were disappointed with from the weekend?
Not in particular. I think though from a meet management standpoint, there were probably too many issues with the gun starting. Right? There was issues where they had to call back races two, three, and four times and five times, or just have athletes stand up while they try to figure it out. So I think we're lagging in that department. Um, in terms of the whole scheduling, I think the schedule is still a little bit too long for to decide who makes a team and how it plays out. But overall, the meet was a quality meet in terms of its performance. But I think the other part that I am not too happy with is, it was Shelley's last hurrah at the national championships. That's what she said. And I was really hoping that the day she ran the 100-meter final, more people would be in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that again is a lackluster. And I'm still questioning, Jamaica's crowd. Do you really love the sport? Or you just love champs, boys and girls champs, right? Because that's always guaranteed to fill the stadium. So because I really expected more people to see Shelley in her. Listen, that was one of the things I told myself. I don't care what's happening at whatever time it was that Friday night, or it was whichever night it was. I can't remember. Whatever was
Mm-hmm.
happening, I am in front, my one spot media, watching from wherever I was in the world. And that is what I was hoping to see, that people who actually have the ability to go to the stadium to go in and really give her that send off, which kind of eclipsed Tina's victory in some ways, right? So that's the only thing. Distance events still need some help. The field events, you saw the effect of not having those athletes in the competition, in the
Mm-hmm.
triple jump, in the discus. You saw the effect of that. Jordan Scott, I believe, was pretty much jumping all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Kerry pretty much jumping by himself. The other guys in the shot and discus, still some good marks. But what would have been like to have Stoner in there and Rajendra? How would that change the dynamics? It would have been a really strong competition, not taking
Mm-hmm.
anything away from the winners, but we'd have really loved to see them really go at it. But I think, what we saw was a little bit of a crack in the system that really
Mm-hmm.
needs to seal up.
Mm-hmm. What were your any disappointed moments, any disappointing results for you, Terry?
not really. I one of the highlights actually for me came off the track where obviously earlier this year you had Grand Slam track in Kingston, and we saw with Grand Slam track starting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Grand Slam track was supposed to have culminated this past weekend, but with Grand Slam track starting, one of the features would have been the introduction of a lot of the media around the meet, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
not being in Jamaica.
Yes.
I really appreciated that, a lot of the, kind of behind the scenes stuff. And we saw a lot of that around national trials, which is not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a few sideline correspondents, Anthony Strong, of course, from the Bahamas being one of them, who really, I think, brought the meat home to those of us who were overseas, and staying up until midnight our time for us to be able to ensure
Mm-hmm.
that we so appreciate, and the rest doing their thing. So that was great for me to be able to see just the breadth of inclusion that was part of this year's meet. On the question of field events, I love my field events. Um, Shanika Ricketts is really building on her 2024 and her 2024 performance. She has come out this year very, very strong and looking very good, leading
Mm-hmm.
up the
Mm-hmm.
world. She right now is the second best in the bike distance, triple jumper in the world, and doing so at a fairly consistent clip. We spoke about Thea Lafond, I think, a couple of weeks ago. He had been coming up an injury right after Paris. I think she did some damage, but she's back in the fold as well. She's back in the world in top five, I think it is. And she's looking good as well. But Shanika Ricketts and Akeelia Smith are right up there
Mm-hmm.
and looking as though they are ramping up the challenge at Worlds in Tokyo in September. So
Mm-hmm.
that's exciting. Robert Mullins, not quite there and thereabout, but Robert Mullins is looking good. National championship for him.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Thomas looking good as well. So those athletes are again going to be in the mix, but it's going to be important for them too to see how they manage that period between now and actually getting into Tokyo 2025.
Yes, yes, that is so good. And I think it's time now for us now to switch our attention, Terry, because the inaugural Barbados Grand Prix, scheduled for July 5, will feature a full evening of track and field competition under lights at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex. And this is, of course, is at the University of West Indies Cavell campus. The meet will run from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and include top athletes from across the Caribbean, offering fans a rare look at regional talent in a team-based format. The meet organized by Mr. Spencer, and he's a national junior triple jump record holder for Barbados and a five-time character medalist. The Barbados Grand Prix introduces a draft style format, and of course, Terry, they had the draft earlier this month. And having said that, it is time now to join our friends from Barbados. We have Mr. Spencer, and of course, we have Nathan. Nice to have you on our show tonight. Where we want to take a look at the Barbados Grand Prix, because it's something new, not only new to the Caribbean, but it's new to the world. Spencer, tell us a little bit about what we can expect. I did a little overview a while ago. What can we expect from the Barbados Grand Prix this weekend?
Yes, yeah, you did a very good overview of it for sure. But what you can expect is some times that Barbadians have definitely never seen before, some performances
Mm-hmm.
that we haven't seen on home soil. We actually definitely have some Jamaicans coming. My teammate, Demar Francis, will be joining the meet, so we're excited for that. And then you have talent from all around the region and from the United, as far as the United States. So we're very excited about it. Barbadians are very excited about it. We have never really had, in my lifetime, a meet where we've had that much regional and international talent. So we are very excited about it, and we're just ready to get going. We got 5 days, so we're just ready to get going.
Mm-hmm. Nathan, how would you say the public, the fans, are looking forward to this kind of meet?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on. But from the time it was posted or the idea was even conceptualized and brought out, the interaction is actually crazy. So many people just looking forward to see all the junior, not only the junior athletes, but some of the old seniors like Akila Jones making her comeback, Jonathan Jones, and even Shade Williams to run at national senior because you don't really get to see them regularly in Barbados. So the interaction has been really good from the public
Mhm.
so far.
Mhm. And of course, I mentioned it's something new format, Spencer, but
Yes,
importantly,
sir.
because we know how track and field is costly right across the world, it takes a lot of money to put on a meet. And I've always said, why can't some of us, some of the organizers, Caribbean organizers, put on meets where they just, focus on Caribbean athletes? Yes, they are not the Noah Lyles or the Shakari Richards or the Sharika Jackson or the Usain Bolt. But fans also see them on TV. They run at the Olympics games. They run at the World Championship. They won medals at Caribbean Game. They won medal at World Juniors. Why don't we, as Caribbean organizers, focus on some of these athletes and give them that exposure? Um, what were you thinking when you are? Tell us what were the thoughts when you were thinking about this meet? How did you come up with the idea that we want to have a meet such as this?
Yeah, actually, originally we weren't actually including regional talent. We were just thinking local. And the background behind the meet, I was just thinking, well, I want um, a meet where, especially the collegiate athletes who are often forgotten about in Barbados, just have a meet where they come home and compete against each other in a team format. And I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of inspired by a lot of the cricket and NBA and NFL competitions where there's a draft, and I always
Mm-hmm.
thought like, why can't we do something like that in track and field? So I thought about it, and I immediately, talked to my dad about it, and we got all the organizers and things of that nature on board. And then when we spoke with the coaches that we invited, one of the coaches actually suggested that we invite athletes from around the region. So that's how that came about, and since then, we actually were able to get accredited by World Athletics, and ever since we got that accreditation, we've gotten a lot of attention from different agents, different coaches who want to get their athletes into the meet, and it's taken off from there. So again, very very looking forward to it. Very excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Terry, you have any questions?
Yeah, man. But Aaron, Nate, good to see you guys. Looking forward to a great show this weekend. You talk about some of the Canadians and some of the Barbadian greats, Mario Burke, Keelan Jones.
Hold on a little bit there, Terry. We're getting a feedback. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is coming from. Let me see. Okay, so the feedback is from Spencer's. Yeah. Or there's a feedback from you coming from your line, Spencer. I don't know.
Aaron, you have a speaker open, someone?
I'm trying to see if it's my laptop. I got it on my laptop. Is it still there?
We're not hearing as clear as you started out. Or
Um,
you're on your phone or your computer.
I'm on my phone right now. Should I join on the laptop?
Yes. And
Okay,
and just turn that on and we'll rejoin you quickly.
no problem. I will.
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, Nate, obviously, you're looking at a real high profile group of athletes now. I think really excited to see Sydney Mario and Aquila in particular back in action. We haven't seen them in a while. Speak to Mario from time to time. I speak to Aquila quite regularly. What event are you really looking forward to this coming weekend?
At first, I was thinking the long jump, the women's long jump,
Yeah.
because you have Chantal, Wakila, and Tyra there. But I'm really looking forward to the men's 400 meter. The Sean boys, Jonathan Jones, Kyle Gill, all in there. That should be a cracker jacker.
What would be your dream athlete to add to the I mean, I know you guys started with modest more or less goals. But who would be your dream athlete to add to the Barbados Grand Prix in 2026?
If I could add somebody, they know return to track. Christopher Taylor.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Cubby.
That is a good one.
A big
And,
fan.
and one of my favorite athletes as well. So yes, so definitely I would have to agree with you on that one. And you would add to that to that 400-meter flavor, assuming he goes back to the 400.
Or he could run the 200.
That like he's a 1 and 2 man.
Yeah.
For the time being. But let's see if we have Aaron back. For Aaron, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're good. We're good.
All right. Yeah. So I was asking. I can probably pose the same question to you. I know you're a jumps man, but what event are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Um, I'm actually running in the events. I'm actually running 400 meters in this event. But other than that, the women's long jump, I'm really looking forward to the women's long jump because you have the return of Akila Jones.
Mhm.
She hasn't competed in Barbados soil since I think it was 2019. So we're always looking forward to that. Then we have Tyra Gittins. Everyone knows Tyra Gittins. Um, and then also Chantel Malone is in that event as well. So that's going to be a competition that I personally don't want to miss, and I know that the
Yep.
public doesn't want to miss that either.
Yeah, that should be a good competition.
That
I
should be a
spoke to
great
Akila Jones. I spoke to Akila Jones 2 weeks ago, Terry, on
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
channel, and she was really, really looking forward to it. And during that interview, Terry has said that these athlete feature would be like half an hour, 30 minutes. And when I got to 30 minutes, I realized I didn't ask half of my questions. So we had a very we had a very good chat with Akila Jones, and she is looking forward to returning home to
Yes,
put
yes,
on a show. Yes. And Spencer, so when I looked at this, there are what, four teams? There are
yes, sir.
the Panthers, the Eagles, the Outlaws, and the Lions.
Yes,
And
sir.
my understanding, and there was a draft. Tell us a little bit about the draft. Tell us how did you come up with the names for these teams, and tell us a little bit, like I think it would be one athlete would only be able to run one event. Give us a little bit more about the
Yeah.
structure.
So the draft, as you mentioned, four teams. So again, you have the Eagles, the Outlaws, the Panthers, and the Lions. As to how I came up with those names, I just thought of three animals I liked, and then the Outlaws came from a team that we had in secondary school. So I always liked that name, so I just included that one. And in terms of how it works, we just had our coaches. So there's two coaches per team, and we had a whole draft event here. It was at Bubba Sports Bar here in Barbados, and it was a live. Well, the sprint part of the draft was live because that's the only time we had. So again, one pick at a time. As you said, you can only run one event. So it's a case where if you have a 100 and 200 guy, you as the coach have to pick where you would want him to run. If you have a 200, 400 guy, same idea. If you have a 800 person, I can also run the 400. You as the coach have to make a decision as to where you'd want him to go. So I think that was the most difficult part of the draft for the coaches. And again, each person has two people that they can pick per event, and it was kind of like a snake draft. So it goes from first pick, second pick, third pick, fourth pick, and then it goes back down. And the coaches actually the day before they did like a draw to see who had which pick. Um, and yeah, it was a really cool event. Again, never done before, so there were some kinks, but it went really really smoothly, and everybody was excited about it. Everybody was happy with the teams that they were placed in, and yeah.
Coach Vaughn, you have anything for our Barbados friends?
Um, one of the things I wanted to know about the teams, you probably should have had one called the Hyenas. I don't know why I like the Hyenas and the Wild Dogs, but but outside of that, with the meet, how is it just how what are the teams going to be competing? What events? What's the mixtures? Relays, some individuals?
Yeah.
Is it a whole day meet, a 4 hour meet? Or how what's it?
Yeah,
What's
so
the
it's a
breakdown?
4 hour meet, and each there's a point system for each event. So again, you each person has two people. Each team has two people per event. So the 100, you would run the 100, and whoever comes first, we get 10 points for the team. Whoever comes second, we get 8 points for the team, and it will just trickle down. And it's like goes like that throughout the whole meet. So the 200, the same thing. The 400. And then in terms of the relays are a little different because that's separate from the meet. We have some regional teams come in. Just that's simply just to qualify for the World Championship. So yeah, that time.
Mm.
But it's kind of like champs in a way. Just building points for your team and see who comes out on top.
Okay, let me ask you.
Are the mixed relays for points as well, or are they separate?
That's separate. Again, that's another opportunity for teams to get a qualifying time.
Mhm.
And I have another question for you. A regional type of thing where, because we see it in Europe where they have the Diamond League where people go from city to city, country to country. What do you think would be one of the biggest hurdles to making to what do you call it now, to scale your meet to make it something more regional? Because I think that's one of the things I enjoyed about Grand Slam. Being in Fort Lauderdale area, I was
Mhm,
able to go to the Miami leg and really watch that meet and be there. I had the
mhm,
opportunity to fly to Philadelphia,
mhm.
but then there was no California. So my question is, and because really that's why I like the Grand Slam, because I could see international competition
Yeah,
close to me. I didn't have to buy a ticket to go to France or Zurich or wherever.
yeah,
I'd love to buy a ticket to Trinidad, to the
yeah,
Bahamas, and
yeah.
see meets. How do you think you could scale this concept?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult because obviously we had different, again, as I mentioned before, we kind of handpicked the athletes that we wanted to invite at first, and they were all regional. So at first, it was just we had the athletes, we had a list of athletes, and we just reached out to them. But then after we got the accreditation from World Athletics, is when other people started to reach out. But I think it was just more of a trend. Like people saw that was a trend that it was a lot of Caribbean people. So a lot of Caribbean people then reached out as a result of that. But we still have different nations. As I said, we have a couple athletes from America that are thriving on this collegiate circuit, and we had a couple athletes that reached out from Canada as well. I don't think they're in the competition anymore, but we had them originally. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of it being a regional competition because again, I mean I grew up competing in Carifta, and that's one of the best meets of my life, and I think it's really cool that we can have like a senior level Carifta games.
Where where do you see where do you see this meet in another 5 years? I know, for example, the last time or the only time I've ever been to Barbados for a meet was all the way back in 2003. That
Yeah,
was Junior Panam. I
yeah.
don't know if you have ever hosted any event, international or regional event since that time.
Mm.
Where do you see this meet in 5 years, and what's the ultimate aim?
Yeah, yeah. As you said, not in my lifetime have we ever host like not that I know of course. Have we ever hosted an event of this magnitude? So right now we're just focusing on getting this one right, and then as you asked where you see it in 5 years, um, we definitely had a goal of getting it on the continental tour, to be like a goal level meet. So I think that's one of the goals we had, and just for it to be a landmark event in the world of track and field. So if we can get athletes like Shelly Ann Fraser Price to come, or Keishane Thompson, or Noah Lyles, that would be incredible. So again, just to get it to a level where everyone knows about it and everyone is looking forward to it.
Mhm. And Terry, just to touch a little bit on some of the teams, as I said, there are four teams: the Eagles, the Outlaw, the Lions, and the Panthers. And when I look, the Fredericks twin will be there, and one Sanai will be running for the Panthers, and her sister will be running for the Eagles, for the Lions. My bad. Mario Burke is also a part of the Lions team.
Lion, yes.
You know,
Along with the
yes,
along with
Nile,
Aaron himself.
along with.
Along with Aaron himself, Spencer.
Okay. Oh,
Don't know.
yes,
I
yes,
don't know
yes.
if he. I don't know if he rigged the draft, but yeah, he's got a
You
pretty
know,
solid team, the Lions.
yeah, Cayman National 100-meter champion
Yes,
Howell
yes,
will be a part of the Outlaws team,
yes.
and one of my favorite sprinters from across the Caribbean. I'm a supporter of Antigua and Barbuda. Joella Lloyd
Well, Lloyd.
will be on that Outlaw team also. I think she just finished her collegiate career
Yeah.
and really looking now to put a lot of effort into just concentrating on training. So we wish her all the best. Camille Rutherford of the Bahamas national 100-meter champion. We had her here on the program last week too,
Really.
for an interview. Demar Francis is also a part of that Eagles team. And I remember when we interviewed Akila Jones. She was like, "Go Eagles, go Eagles!" She was so happy, to be a part of it, and she cherished really being representing the Eagles. And Michelle Liai,
Yes, sir.
we have her here listed for the Panthers also. All of these athletes' name I just mentioned, Chantal Malone, from the British Virgin Islands will also be on that team. All of these persons I listed, Spencer, will are all those persons still in for the meet this weekend?
Most of them, a couple of changes. We actually had Soleil has withdrew because of a hamstring injury, so we've actually been able to replace her with Brianne Bethel of the Bahamas. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that we were pretty obviously upset to hear about Soleil, but we're happy that we were able to get that rectified. Joella Lloyd is unfortunately not going to be able to compete, so we're going to be looking for a replacement for her. She has had a long NCAA season, so she was dealing with a lot of shin splints and some shin injuries, so she was unfortunately unable to compete. Another change we had off the top of my head, Omari Lewis was supposed to compete, but he also had some hamstring problems. He
Mm-hmm.
had a grade one strain, so he thought it was wise to withdraw, and we replaced him with a really, really, really outstanding athlete in Jaleel Kroll of the British Virgin Islands. He is a 10.0, 19.9 guy. So we're excited about that. And that is everybody else that you mentioned will be still competing.
Shade Seda Williams.
Yes,
She,
yes, yes. Shadi Williams will
Shade.
Shadi Williams will definitely. So we're very that is a treat for Barbadians because that's our superstar. So we're
Mm-hmm.
excited for that.
Tell us about some of the sponsors. I see you have quite a few here. I mean,
Yes,
quite a few don't mean a lot of money, but of
yes.
course we have to show some love for our sponsors.
Of course, of course, of course. So, firstly, I just want to shout out to Sagicor Bank. He, she is, she, he, sorry, Sagicor Bank is Sade's personal sponsor. So he was able to come on board for us, and he is actually they're actually sorry sponsoring the 400-meter event. Um, so obviously, then we have Ticket Links, our local ticket company that we use for just ticket distribution. They are
Mm-hmm.
sponsoring our event as well. Accra Hotel, Hilton Hotel, they are the two accommodation locations for our athletes that we are bringing in. So we are very thankful for that because they're providing some incredible rates for our athletes. So we appreciate them. Signia Globe Financial, they have sponsored us in radio time. So they were allowing us to use their personal radio show to push the meet and to promote the meet. So we are very thankful for that. The Sandy Waters will be our official drink, our water for the meet. So anybody that needs water, the Sunny Water will be there. And then Nation News Barbados, they are also sponsoring us, so we're thankful for that. Better Health Magazine, Adulo Apartments. There is another accommodation center for us. So again, thankful to them for coming on board. And then Powerade. Powerade is sponsoring us as well. So they're the official drink of the Barbados Grand Prix. And
Mhm.
lastly, the meet will be streamed on sports.bb in Barbados. That is our official partner in streaming the meet. So we're again thankful for that.
Yeah, and of course, it's very important for sponsors because without the sponsors, we basically can't do anything.
Exactly.
And this weekend, it's going to be on the what date? The fifth.
The
It's a
July 5th,
Saturday.
Saturday, July 5th at 6 p.m.
Yeah, Saturday, July 5th. So this is new to Barbados.
Yes,
This
sir.
is new to the Caribbean. This is new to the world.
Yes, sir.
It's a team-based format, and it's something I'm actually I'll be watching from afar. It seems to be an interesting meet,
Yep.
and as I said, I'll continue to follow. I'll continue to use my channel to support and to
Yes, and
let
we
people be
appreciate.
aware.
I just want to say we've been seeing all the support that you have been giving us, and we are extremely appreciative of it. So thank you to
Yeah,
Track.
definitely, definitely. And as I said, Terry, it's really, really nice to see high level international competition returning to Barbados, Terry
Yeah,
Finesta.
One of the great features of this meeting for me, and I'm sure the two guys from Barbados will agree, is the fact that you're going to give a number of those athletes lead was that career for this year. I mean, as you said, this career for bid. You're going to get a number of those athletes who are still of career age, who are still, new,
yeah,
still fresh
yeah.
in the game, as it were, rubbing shoulders with some really experienced, some really classy athletes.
Mhm.
Athletes who've competed at the collegiate level, who've competed at the Commonwealth Games, at the Pan Am Games, at the Olympic Games, who've gone out and got medals at various levels, who've represented their countries and the region very, very well. So I think it's exciting that you're able to create that opportunity for those young athletes to be able to see and be able to talk to, be able to share the locker room, be able to share a team with that caliber of athlete. I think for them more than anybody else. I mean, obviously for us fans, it's going to be exciting for people who are in the stand. It's going to be a wonderful experience. But I think
Exactly.
for the young athletes who are going to come and be able to just be able to have a conversation with Shadi or Super Mario or Killer Jones, just to be able to have that kind of experience, I think it's going to be absolutely wonderful for the young.
Exactly. I agree with you fully. We have a really good mix of the Carifta athletes that were just fresh off the Carifta games and the professional athletes that everybody knows. So it's going to be a really good opportunity, as you mentioned, for the younger athletes to rub shoulders with some superstars that they look up to. So again, I know I've spoken to a lot of the athletes, and they're very excited about it. So um, I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for them.
What's the support like, or from government and from the federation?
Yeah, the government has been extremely supportive. The Ministry of Sports of Barbados is partly funding this meet. So we are very thankful to the Ministry of Sports, and then the Barbados Tourism Management Incorporated (BTMI) has also come on board to sponsor this meet. So we are very appreciative of the government agencies, and we're looking forward to putting together a show for the Barbados public.
Hmm. Coach Vaughn, any final question before we close?
No, no, no final questions. I do notice that though it's the same day as the pre.
Yeah.
What time do you actually start?
We start at 6 p.m. local time, so Eastern time.
Mhm.
Okay.
And for all those who are in Barbados listening, remember it's this weekend, the 5th July. Go out to where? The Caville campus,
Yes,
Usain
sir.
Bolt,
You say the
Usain Bolt Stadium to watch what I think is going to be an incredible evening of track and field.
Yep,
In the field, in the field and on the track, because this event is special, and it's special because athletes were drafted. Athletes will be representing 4 teams, and we have some of the best up and coming athletes from across the Caribbean that will be taking part. I know some eyes will be on the meet because, we heard that a few Jamaican teams should be
yes,
coming over there chasing World Championship qualification marks, and that in itself would draw a lot of Jamaican attention. But we're glad we're able to have you on to discuss, to tell us a little bit more about the meet, and we wish you all the very best, that you will have a successful meet, and we'll see the meet again next year, the next 5, the next 10 years, because I think this is what the Caribbean needs. They need meet like this, because many of these athletes are not going to get into the diamond leagues and the big meets in Europe, and we
exactly.
need to put on meets here in the Caribbean that will help our own athletes. So again, I must congratulate you for this idea and for bringing it to life.
Thank you.
And we will have it this weekend, the 5th, in Barbados at the Usain Bolt Stadium on the Caville campus of the University of the West Indies Caville campus. Any final word from you, Spencer, before you go?
Yeah, man. Just again, thank you to the Trackalerts team for y'all's continued support. Again, we've been following, and we've been seeing the support, so we appreciate it. And for all the Jamaicans and the Barbadians watching, you touched on it already. It's going to be an incredible opportunity for to see the best of the best compete in Barbados, and we are really looking forward to it as a country. And again, you guys will have the opportunity to see the Jamaican teams go after that elusive qualifying standard in the relays. So there are different aspects to this meet that people are looking forward to, and I can speak for the Barbadian public that we are very much looking forward to it.
And just before you go, just touch a little bit on ticket price. I know it's not
Yes,
expensive.
yes, yes. So the stadium is split into 4 sections. So we have the west stand, which is closest to the finishing line. That is 50 Barbados dollars. So again, very very affordable. The other side, on the other side is the east side, the east stand. That is 40 Barbados dollars. So then we have the grounds, which is, as the name suggests, on the ground, on the east side. That is $30, and then you have the VIP section, which comes with hospitality, amenities, food, for just 150 Barbados dollars. So very affordable, and ticket sales have suggested that. So yeah,
It's going good.
going well, going very well.
Okay. Nathan, anything before you go?
Oh, I was just wondering, Aaron, in the future, would you? I saw a comment here that was saying the lack of field events. Is that a thought for the future?
Yes, for sure. Originally, we had shot put on the agenda, but it was just lack of entries and lack of it just wasn't logistically possible for us to host the shot put event this year, because of also the positioning of the shot put. You've been to the Usain Bolt Stadium; it's not very visible. So yes, that is the plan for next year, to include more field events, and hopefully in the near future we have a national stadium which can host other field events like the discus and javelin, and other field events. So yes, that is definitely a plan for the future.
Okay. There you have it. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Of
And I
course.
hope to connect with you again next week, Monday, when we basically will review and look back on the performances from the meet. Thank
Yes,
you very much, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
of course. Just say the
Thanks
word.
for having us.
Yes, gentlemen.
Yes, Terry and Coach Vaughn, there you have it. The Barbados Grand Prix on this weekend. And I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of the comments in the comment section, persons are looking forward to it because they are asking, if the meet is going to be streamed. And yes, it's going to be streamed because as Nathan, not Nathan, but Spencer pointed out earlier that the meet will be streamed on Sports BB, and we will get the link as soon as it's available and share it with our viewers. But it's that time of the night. We're over by 5 minutes, but I'm sure the viewers won't kill us. And we try to keep our show to no more than an hour. We want to be consistent. We don't want to get drawn out and too boring, Terry. So we try to keep everything in
Absolutely.
an hour. We just had to deal with a little bit more tonight because we had some good performances from the Jamaican Trials, and we also had to look on the Barbados Grand Prix coming up. I always have to be careful, Terry, when I say in Barbados, because I always try to mix up Barbados and Bahamas. But I think I've gotten it right for tonight. Any final word before we go, Terry and Coach Vaughn?
Well, it's a very full of athletics this Saturday. You have the Prefontaine Classic with a number of Caribbean athletes included there. You just had a B final added to the women's 100. So there's even more excitement happening there. It should be real fun this coming weekend. Kane is going to be there. Julian Alfred is going to be there. Of course, I think both Clayton twins had been ended, but I think this Tia is in the final list. Brianna Williams is in the B final of the 100. And then, of course, you have the Barbados Grand Prix right after. So it's almost literally right as Prefontaine is finished, you're going straight into the Barbados Grand Prix. So you're going to have a full day of track and field on a Saturday, and it should be some real fun and some really fantastic performances, I think, from both of those teams.
Definitely, definitely. Coach Vaughn, what says you?
Well, as we gear up for Tokyo 2025, Jamaica's track and field team selection, the process, to me, has created some intense debate. I saw some of it on Facebook, within different track and field groups. But at the heart of that is the medical exemption, and I want you guys to look out for my opinion piece on, is it time to fix Jamaica's medical exemption rule? So that's pretty much all I have. Look out for that tomorrow, this weekend, by the weekend, on the Road to Champs Facebook page. And if Anthony likes it enough, he'll probably
On
post it on Track
trackalerts.com.
Alerts.
But not Terry, but Coach Vaughn, as you mentioned that,
Yeah.
I remember, and you would have, yourself and Terry remember former NACAC president Teddy McCook.
Yeah.
Strong man in track and field, world track and field, not only in Jamaica or the region. And I remember he had said there should be nothing such as a medical exemption. It should be 1, 2, 3, and you're done. 1, 2, 3, done. And but I will just leave it there. We look out for your piece, Coach Vaughn, and hopefully it will open eyes, and it will, hopefully it will allow discussion in the boardroom when the J3's executive do meet. But that's all we have for tonight, gentlemen. Thank you very much again for joining, and we hope to be back with our viewers next week, same time, same place on Track Alerts TV, where we discuss track and field in the Caribbean and beyond. Thank you very much.